Good evening, everybody. Sian from Shiloh Within Counselling here, just wanting to do the first of our Facebook Live series this week on the 5 love languages, which I gave a little bit of an intro to last week. So the 5 love languages is a book that was written by Dr. Gary Chapman, and he talks about there being 5 essential ways that we give and receive love, and those 5 ways are acts of service, gifts, words of affirmation, physical touch and quality time. So for tonight's live, I wanted to focus on the love language acts of service. So I wanted to talk to you about what that looks like, in a couple relationship, what it looks like when that is somebody's primary love language, how they give that to others and how they receive that from others. So one thing that's really quite important to note is that if somebody has acts of service as their primary love language, that is how they will give love to other people, to show love to other people, and that is how they will receive love the most from other people as well, because that's the language that they speak. So some ideas for loving somebody who has the primary love language of acts of service could be to make them a cup of tea or coffee, to wash their car, to do something that takes their load and reduces it. That is what they appreciate the most. That is what, as Dr. Chapman talks about, that is what fills their love tank. Washing the dishes, cooking tea, taking them out for a meal, and just things like bringing in the shopping, putting it away for them. So it's like doing jobs for a person, really, to put it really simply. It could also be just letting them put their feet up and relax and know that what they had on their agenda will be taken care of by you. So that's they're just some ideas on if you have a partner that has the primary love language of acts of service. There's some ideas of how you could bless them and show them that you love them and that they will receive that and feel loved. They will appreciate that and they will know that you are putting in the effort in the way that they speak, in the language that they speak. So I also wanted to talk about what that looks like for self-love, because in this series we're not just focusing on partner love, romantic love, we're also focusing on self-love. So if you would like to be more self-compassionate, more valuing of yourself and to give to yourself, there are some ways that you could show your self-love in the acts of service. So some of those ways could be to ask for help from others and to accept help when it's offered. We can practice healthy boundary setting. So we can stop constantly doing things for people when they can actually do them themselves. We do that because we love them, but it may be stunting their growth in areas as well. So learning to say no and learning to delegate is important in self-love, with the love language of acts of service. Also taking time to keep your living and your workspace tidy and organised, that can feel loving towards yourself. Sticking to a budget, and also joining groups like I was going to say food banks, but where people come together and they share the food, or they share a cooking experience, or joining groups where people have common interests and you're achieving something, gardening groups, achieving something for others and they're also achieving something for you. So that can be a way to practice self-love with the goal of acts of service. Now when we speak a love language, it is also important to note that when we're not receiving those things, then or we refuse those ways of being given love by those that we value and that we love in our lives, our love tanks can become quite empty and we can get very hurt by certain things. So I wanted to also cover that in tonight's live. So if you have somebody in your life who speaks predominantly the acts of service love language, and they ask you to help them and you refuse without good reason, and you just flat say, no, I've got better things to do, my things are more important, no, I don't want to help you, that can be very hurtful. That can drain a person's love tank immediately. Also, helping other people more than you help the one that you love, your spouse, that becomes an imbalance that they will pick up on extremely quickly, and they will feel quite offended and hurt by that. Now, these are things that you need to talk through if that's happening in your relationship, and having some compassion around that, and knowing that this is a love language, this is an important thing for your spouse, can really help foster the genuine conversation around, okay, I can see your point, that may not be my love language, but I can see that that's important to you. And also, if you see that your spouse is overloaded and you don't offer to help, that can feel offensive to them as well. So those are just some ways that if you have a spouse that is acts of service is their top primary love language, I should say, please try to avoid those things, because that can be quite detrimental, quite damaging, especially if it goes on long term. So they're just a few things that I wanted to point out with the love language of acts of service. I also am open to you dropping comments and questions in the comments bar below. If you have any questions, we will post our contact details, our website and contact details below as well, and please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, or if you'd like to book a session for counselling to do with self-love, or to do with love, a romantic relationship where you may be struggling. So thank you for listening, and I will see you tomorrow for our part 2 of the love language series that we're doing this week. So I hope you have a great night. Thank you. Bye.